talk about how are Crosby and Malkin going to react to having a coach that, just coming out of the juniors. Based on, some of the pictures you've been tweeting, looks like the guys have been skating a little bit. So even if they do have a problem with him, well, they just might be skating more.
Well, they certainly are doing that. Crosby and Malkin, I think they responded just fine to Mike Johnson. There were all these rumors before the season about, Malkin's not happy and Crosby's not happy, this and that. And I think that was stuff that was really blown way out of proportion. I think they're fine. And, Mike Johnston, he's a junior coach coming into the NHL, not just any NHL team, but one of the highest profile NFL team or NHL teams, that there is. And he needed to get their attention. He needed to show who the boss was. And practices have been a little painful to watch. Wind sprints, and they're still doing it. They did in Toronto the other day after practice on Sunday. He's working the crap out of them, but I think he's earned some respect, and I think he's let it be known that he's the boss. And I've been quite impressed with him, and I don't think there are any problems right now in terms of Johnson getting through to his stars.
Johnson seems to be doing all these little things right, doesn't he? I mean, he comes in and he goes over to meets with Malkin, just to make sure everything's fine there. And well, that's nice. And what you kind of know needed to be done is to break up that top line last year a bit, to spread some, depth throughout the lineup. Put Dupuis on another line. Would Crosby accept that? And, he kind of went right for it, and they like it, and they're doing a great job. And so there's another thing. He's not really shy about kind of imposing what he wants to do on this team, is he?
No, he's not. Pascal Dupuis wasn't happy about being taken off of Crosby's line.
Who would be?
Right, no. He made it very clear. Rob Rossi wrote a column a few days ago where Dupuis said, I'm never good enough to play on Sid's line. And he wasn't happy about it at all. And maybe Sid wasn't. I don't know. Sid's got Hornquist now, so I don't think he's upset at all with his current configuration. But Johnson came right out and basically told these guys, you're not going to tell me who your line mates are going to be, and that's not an easy thing for a coach to do. But when you put it, when you go out and pick the lines that you want and don't listen to the stars, I actually think you've gained their respect a little bit. I think, and listen, Crosby is not a hard guy to coach. I mean, you tell him what to do and he does it. I really believe that about him. Malkin can be a little more difficult, I suspect, at times, but I don't think he's the coach killer that some people want to make him out to be. And I think sometimes you just have to be firm with him. I would argue Malkin played some of the best hockey in his career under Michael Therrien. And Therrien would, sit him down and have heart-to-hearts with him and be very tough on him. And Gino's one of those guys who needs a kick in the butt, I think. And maybe this guy's willing to do that, and that's not a bad thing at all. And I just sense that everybody is really responding favorably to Johnson. He's a smart guy. He really is. He's got a kind of, much like I said this about Hornquist, and I'll say it about his head coach, Mike Johnson. He's just got a quiet confidence about him. I think he knows what he's doing, and I think he feels very comfortable with his team right now and just how everyone's responded. It's been a good thing so far.
Yeah, it's been really good. And after 5 years of disappointment in the playoffs, nobody should be comfortable. Nobody on that team should be calling the shots except for the coach, maybe. Now that he's new, he's got a chance to do that. We talked a little bit about Brandon Sutter a bit ago. How long do you see that line kind of maintaining, Sutter winging or having Malkin as his wing instead of Malkin being the center?
Well, I don't think it will be touched until Bo Bennett comes back into the lineup, and that will probably be in early November. They are really big on Bo Bennett being on Brandon Sutter's line. That surprised me a little bit. I had always envisioned Bo as more of a top six guy. But Mike Johnston doesn't necessarily believe in his third line being a bunch of crashers and bangers and defensive specialists. He's big on puck possession. And you think, well, Bennett, he's a puck possession kind of guy. He really is. And I can tell you that he and Brandon Sutter formed some unbelievable chemistry in training camp. We even saw it in a preseason game or two. So I really think those two with Downey will be the third line when everybody's healthy. And frankly, it might be a pretty good third line. And so I think you'll probably see them go back to that when Bo returns. But, the question is, who plays on the line with Malkin and Dupuis if you're going to leave Hornquist and Kunitz with Sid? So they're just kind of one forward short in the top nine rotation right now, in my opinion. But like I keep telling you guys, Jim Rutherford's going to make a move at some point, I promise you. There's no doubt in my mind there. It might not be tomorrow. It might not be until March. Who knows? But there's another top 6 winger coming to Pittsburgh at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a shame to see Bo go down. He was looked like a changed player almost in the preseason. So hopefully he can get back to that form when he comes back in November. One thing I love about, I guess, this new regime, there's kind of a sense that, like, some jobs really aren't set in stone. Like last year with Bilesma, you knew that Craig Adams and, all those guys were going to be in the lineup, and, all those guys, Rob Scuderi. But you kind of get the sense now that there is a little bit of a competition, especially now. I wanted to get your thoughts about the whole Scott Harrington thing because, a lot of us thought he was going to make the team right out of camp, but then you thought, well, he's probably going to have to sit in the press box. What's that good is that going to do? So Taylor Chorney made the team, and then, they send Chorney back to Wilkes-Barre and bring Harrington up. So what do you make of that move? Is that some kind of team bonding thing, or is this, maybe a thing where, hey, if somebody struggles or somebody gets hurt, we're going to throw Harrington in there. We're confident in what he can do.
Yeah, the Harrington thing's a little strange. Of course, they recalled him on Friday, and they were up in Toronto all weekend. They stayed for 3 days in Toronto, had the rookie dinner and some team bonding. Did they just want him to feel a part of that and come up for the weekend? Did they actually want a rookie to pay for dinner, perhaps, so they called him up? I don't know. It was a little strange, the whole thing. I never really got a great explanation from anyone in the organization, but I can tell you that they really love Scott Harrington. They think he's going to have. I was talking with somebody in the organization, and I said, "Boy, he's gonna be a good player for 10 years in the NHL, isn't he?" And the person I was speaking with responded, "No, he's going to be a good player for 15 years." I mean, they think that highly of this kid. They really do. And going back to what you said a minute earlier about Mike Johnston, you're absolutely right about no jobs being set in stone. And he has talked many times about how much he enjoys the trio of Gotch and Como and Spalling as a line. And when everybody's healthy, that's almost going to be their fourth line. And that leaves Craig Adams out, theoretically, if you think about it. And I don't think Craig has a job necessarily set in stone long down the road this season. He's got 1 year left on his deal, of course. And as for Rob Scuderi, when Robert Bortuzzo gets back into this lineup, they're going to want him to play at some point, I have to think. And if everybody's healthy, who's the odd man out? Is it Bortuzzo, Dupre, or Scuderi? I don't know that there's an obvious answer there, at least for the coaching staff. I know who the fans would want to be the odd man out, but I don't think Scuderi's job is safe. I don't think he's played particularly well in the first 2 games, and you're counting on him to be your shutdown penalty killer, essentially, and they've given up a ton of power play goals already this season. So I don't think Scuderi or Adams have should feel real safe in the lineup right now.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Simone Dupre. What have you thought about him finally, kind of getting a chance here to start the year with the team? I know Bertuzzo got injured, but I know this coaching staff, really wants to see what they can get out of this guy because, he really didn't get a fair shot in previous years. What do you think about his performance these first 2 games?
I think he's been okay. He's made some mistakes. He's turned the puck over a couple of times when he shouldn't have. But that's going to happen with young defensemen, and he still is a young defenseman. And I think it's really crucial for the Penguins just to play this guy as often as possible. Now's the time to find out what you have in Simone Dupre. Before, as has been very well chronicled, he would make one mistake, and Dan Bilesma would take him out of the lineup. I mean, it was literally that simple. The guy would just infuriate Bilesma and the rest of the coaching staff, too, at times. And they want to see what they have in the guy, and I think you're going to see him in the lineup almost every night. And, he's been a real physical presence in camp and in the preseason games. And he's a bigger man than people realize, and you don't think of him as being a physical player. But I was talking with Gary Agnew the other day, the assistant coach, and he said, actually, Simone's been too physical at times during camp. We needed him to tone it down a little bit, and that just goes to show, I think, that he is really excited about the opportunity to play for a new staff. And he's been trying to show off a little bit, essentially. And he hasn't been perfect, but he'll be okay. I'm a believer in his. I think he's a real talent, and I think he'll get better the more he plays.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not a lot of physicality on that back line. And or not the back nine. What am I even talking about right now, Josh? I don't even know. It's been one of those days
about the
for me
Masters
here.
or something. The back nine at Augusta.
Yeah. I'd rather be golfing right now than being in cold Wheeling, West Virginia. I'll tell you that much right now. Josh, before we go, let's play a little quick word association game here. I'm gonna say a phrase or a player or a team or whatever, and you give me a one-word response to that guy or that thing. Cool?
All right, I like it.
All right. Patrick Hornquist.
Underappreciated.
Ooh, I like that. Rob Scuderi.
Fading.
Florida Panthers.
Empty.
Dead inside.
Well, I need to think of one word to make fun of their attendance tonight, and I can't do it.
I think Andy had a good one there. Empty.
I will just say sad.
Sad. It is sad. Brandon Saad.
Homeboy.
Homeboy. All right. Todd Haley.
Oh, jeez.
Ooh. Arrogant.
And Andy Hughes.
Handsome.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
All right. There we go.
You're welcome, Andy.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Josh, thanks so much, man. Appreciate you coming on.
No, it's my pleasure. Maybe depressing would be a better word for the Panthers now that I think about it.
Yeah.
I don't mean
Florida
to insult
or
our
Pitt?
good friend Paige Lewis, but
I know.
I saw the pictures that their beat writer George Richards took at the beginning of the game tonight. That's a real problem down there. Let's be honest. There probably shouldn't be a franchise in Southern Florida. It's just not a pretty sight.
Yeah, it's a shame.
No,
Yes.
when you said depressing, I thought you meant the Pitt Panthers too, but maybe all Panthers.
Yeah.
So
I'll hold out hope for the dear Panthers, but that's not looking so good.
not so hot. All right, Josh.
No.
Thanks so much, man.
Thanks, Josh.
Gentlemen, always a pleasure.
And that's Josh Yohe from the Pittsburgh Tribune Review.
Great
Love
guy.
Josh. He's awesome.
That's some interesting stuff to say, I thought, too.
Yeah, he said you're handsome.
Yeah. That was very interesting.
That was kind of interesting, yes. No, your ego's going to just swell up and...
I'm going to become arrogant like Todd Haley.
We
Even
could
though I
have
don't know
so
anything.
much more fun with that, but we put Josh on the spot as it was. I had so many other names that I wanted to say, but didn't want to put him too much on the spot. Maybe next time we'll give him a little bit of a heads up, maybe.
We'll have more time to think about some names.
Yeah, maybe that defeats the purpose. I don't know.
That's true.
All right. Anything else?
Well, Steven Stamkos was lighting it up tonight.
Yeah,
Looks
man.
like he's going to be, he's back.
Stamkos has more goals than maybe the Boston Bruins.
Yeah, I think what they have 4 goals or whatever.
Something
I don't
like
know
that.
how many games they played, but yeah,
It's pretty bad.
it is.
And I don't
Good
think anybody could have thought about the Bruins starting off so poorly. I don't think anyone expected the Ducks to kind of lay an egg, not lay an egg, but because they did score a few goals, but to look the way that they did against the Penguins. And I don't think anybody expected the Penguins to play this well to begin the season. Still really early, but I mean, a couple surprises there so far.
Yeah, definitely. And Brock Nelson randomly in the scoring leaders.
Wow.
I don't think he'll keep up the pace that he's at, but hey, this is the beginning of the season for you. You're going to see some of those names early on. But I mean, Penguins got a couple games coming up. It's almost like a football schedule this week because they played Saturday and then they don't play till Thursday against the Stars.
Get that Thursday night game on NBC.
It's like Thursday night hockey, and then they play. Yeah, and then they'll play Saturday against the Islanders. So.
Yeah, and the Isles, I wouldn't count out the Isles. I think they're going to give the Penguins a lot of fits this year. I mean, it's the
think
Islanders,
they're
but
good. I mean,
I think if anyone in the Metro could match up speed-wise with them, it's the Islanders right now.
Yeah, those trades they made for Johnny Boychuk and Nick Leddy. I mean, it's going to help them out big time. And I think Halak, we know what Halak can do, especially in 2010.
He's a game-changing goalie.
Yeah.
And anytime you mentioned Brock Nelson, maybe not keeping up this kind of pace, but I think he's going to put up really good numbers this
yeah.
year. Yeah, I mean, anytime you have John Tavares on your team, feeding you the puck, creating space, whatever, you've got a chance to put up some decent numbers. And one of the most underrated guys in the league, John Tavares. So it'll be an interesting game whenever the Pens go to play the Islanders this week.
Yeah, and I'm excited for the Stars one too.